What do Americans think about California? A new poll tells us. Plus, will California enact a pet tax? That's all coming up. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and these are the top stories we're following today. Before we get into the poll, I want to let you know of an alarming set of stories from California's southern border in terms of very dangerous apprehensions being made at the southern border by the U.S. Border Patrol right here in California. And again, I have said that border security needs to be one of the top issues, the top issue in my book, for what politicians should be focusing on, not only at the federal level with President Trump, but we've got to make this issue the number one issue in the state of California. I've talked on this podcast in the past about how the polling shows that even Democrats are worried about the border. Democrat voters, not the politicians, obviously. They're open border. But the Democrat voters are worried about the border. Latino voters are worried about the border, independent voters, and obviously Republicans. And so I always want us to highlight the apprehensions being made by Border Patrol at California's border. Here is from Daily Caller. Exclusive: Feds nab Afghan illegal immigrant on terror watch list deemed a, quote, known associate. Arif Tanha admitted after crossing the border to being arrested in 2011 after U.S. commandos raided his family's home in Afghanistan. This is a notice. If you can see here, it was the arrest was made last week, February 5th. It's from the U.S. Border Patrol. Significant arrest notification that Border Patrol issued, and the Daily Caller got their hands on it. An Afghan nationalist, and was apprehended in the San Diego sector in Jacumba Springs, right here in San Diego County. I'm telling you, man, we're going to see some terrorist incident that is directly linked to the fact that we do not have control over our southern border. And they're coming through California. All right. At least in Texas, their governor has deployed state National Guard troops to their border to help Border Patrol. Here in California, we are a sanctuary state. We disparaged Border Patrol agents. And of course, the welfare that's been given out causes this overwhelming flood of migrants. And into that overwhelming flood are embedded these terror suspects that we have to keep an eye on. Here's another story. Mexican national arrested for smuggling duffel bags full of meth in California. Border Patrol says. We have a drug epidemic in California. And I've said this on the show before that the reason why we have so much homelessness and so many overdoses in California is that we are so permissive with drugs. We have an open border. That's where the drugs are flowing from. And then, of course, we don't really prosecute drug crimes in the state of California because of Prop 47. And so this story shows 154 pounds of meth being seized by the Border Patrol this week in the El Centro sector. And they were patrolling and pulled over a car near Indio at 5 a.m. The K9 unit, which, by the way, Democrats want to get rid of K9 dogs because they're so-called racism. The K9 unit searched the vehicle and sniffed and found the drugs, 5 bags of drugs. Take a look at that picture there. Just the number of lives that would be wasted and hurt because of that, and Lord knows how many deaths from the overdoses. Street value of $278,000. So I've always said the only part of California's economy that's booming is the drug trade and prostitution. By the way, let's talk about the possibility that California politicians will enact a pet tax. Here is a story about Colorado Democrats wanting a pet tax. Colorado Democrat introduces pet tax for all animals, and it's worse than you think. Oh, look at the cat and the dog there. There you go. Anyway, this is Regina English, a Democrat in Colorado, introducing this bill. requires all pet owners to register their animals using a state-run system, and that fees would be imposed upon them. $8 for pets with a caregiver, $16 for unneutered or unspayed pets, $25 for pets without a caregiver. Hold on a second. If you don't have a caregiver for the pet, who's registering the pet? I mean, again, I know it's insanity. These Democrats are absolutely untethered from anything that's practical or rational. The reason why I bring this up as a possibility in California, because these politicians at the state level share their toxic brew of bad ideas across the state lines. And I guarantee you this will happen in California. Here's why. I had to fight this same proposal in San Diego City back in 2010 when I was a city council member in the city of San Diego. The Democrats wanted to impose a cat tax because they already have a dog license fee in the city of San Diego. Now they wanted to, back in 2010, they were hungry for money, so they wanted to do a cat tax. And of course, I brought my own cat into City Hall, did a press conference. The cat was a little terrified, but added a little a bit of commentary through meowing. But my press conference went global. We even made it on the BBC. We were on Good Morning America and the Today Show because everyone thought, as is right, it was an absurd idea. So we killed the cat tax. We sent it back to the litter box. Now it's a state issue in Colorado, and I guarantee you it's going to be going to the Sacramento legislature very soon. That's why I'm running for the legislature. I can't wait to get up there to basically cut off this proposal when it arrives. I guarantee you it will. Final story we're following, and that is the perception of California by national voters, by Americans. LA Times did a poll asking Americans, what do you think about California? Now, mind you, LA Times does polls of California voters, and their latest poll done with Berkeley IGS, the Institute for Government Studies, shows that even Californians are souring on our state and believe that California is on the wrong track. The LA Times has been guffawing and thumbing its nose at any criticism of this socialist nirvana that they have helped create with the Democrat politicians they support. And so they've always, as we called them out for a few weeks ago, they even did an op-ed, an editorial, saying, if you're going to leave California, fine, but shut up on your way out. Don't complain. So there's a lot of arrogance here that the LA Times has. So I think that's what led them to do this national poll. And they found in their national poll, no surprise, 50% of U.S. adults believe the state is in decline. And I have to wonder, what the hell are the other 50% thinking? Are you not watching the news? I mean, each week I'm on Fox News and Newsmax, basically slamming California for another liberal idea, another failure, another bit of corruption. And so people are watching what's happening in California. They probably have friends that live out here and tell them what's going on, or they have new neighbors that have fled the state of California and are telling them just how bad it is out here. The weather's great, but the government, not so much. 6 in 10 adults nationwide thinks California is a trendsetter and that it has a positive impact on the country. Well, this is a concern. California is a trendsetter. I don't see anything happening in California that I'd want to see go nationwide. I think those voters, though, are not speaking of government. They're probably speaking of kind of like pop culture, because Hollywood is still very associated with national trends. 30% of Americans think the state is too liberal. Of course, 81% of Republicans nationwide think the state is too liberal. For the 19% of Republicans that don't think the state's too liberal, how about you come visit? Yeah, that's right. As you get your rental car and you have to pump $7 a gallon gas, and then your rental car is broken into and you're knifed at us on the sidewalk. Tell me about whether you think it's still too liberal or not too liberal. So there you have it. California has got pretty bad reputation, and deservedly so. 48% of Republicans believe California is, quote, not really American. I love it. This is important because I believe in the 2024 election, California should be a topic of conversation. It should take center stage. Now, I believe it's going to happen because Gavin Newsom is going to be swapped in for Joe Biden. But even if he's not, the Democrat platform, the Democrat agenda is already law. It's already implemented in California. You don't have to wonder how bad things are going to get in America with the Democrat philosophy. Just look to California and you'll see the rot, the corruption, the failure, the misery. And so I do believe California ought to be the foil. I think we ought to be slamming on California nationwide. And those of us here behind enemy lines, we need to keep fighting. Because the more we fight, number one, the more we draw attention to the failures and warn America what will happen to them if they go full tilt leftist. Number two, you can't have a healthy, secure, and prosperous America with a sick California. We have a duty if we're patriots. We love our country. We've got to take back California to save our country. It's not just saving a state, it's saving our country. And number three, stay and fight because we actually are moving the needle. I've covered that in other videos, various seats that we've been able to flip, the fact that Latinos are up for grabs, the fact that voters agree with us on issues, not yet party label, but on issues, they agree with us. And so I believe that there's ample opportunity for us to turn the ship around. That's why get out there and vote. Check out our voter guide at reformcalifornia.org. Chip in a contribution. You can also go to the voter guide by going to electionguidecalifornia.org, electionguidecalifornia.org. Click on either the statewide guide or your regional guides here and share it with your friends and family. Remember, a lot of voters are confused by the ballot measure titles because the politicians are being deceptive. They're trying to lie to us on the ballot. This voter guide, the plain English voter guide from Reform California, it will give people clarity. They'll know what they're voting on. Plus, we endorse in all the key races from Congress to state legislature, all the way down to school board and judge races. So check it out, electionguidecalifornia.org. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.